the waters of the Yangtze River in China rises the biggest concrete structure on the planet. The Three Gorges Dam is over 2 kilometers long and 60 stories tall. It has taken 40,000 workers over 17 years to build. When it fully comes online, this one dam will produce over 20,000 megawatts of power, twice as much as all the nuclear power stations in Britain put together. It is the pinnacle of dam engineering.
The dam was built on the Yangtze River, which is the longest river in Asia and almost as long as the Amazon River. The dam has a height of 180 meters and is 2.3 kilometers long. Construction on this giant of a project cost a whopping $32 billion. Today, it provides energy for approximately 20 million people. Building the dam created a massive artificial lake. Here's a satellite map showing areas flooded by the reservoir. This feat of engineering is so unique that it is now an international tourist attraction. So why was it built? Well, there are several reasons why. The main reason for building this dam was to prevent further flooding downstream. This was a huge problem because the mighty Yangtze River was known as a wild river. When it broke its banks, it left destruction in its wake. The dam construction had first been considered in 1919, but the Civil War and Cultural Revolution in China delayed it. In 1954, an estimated 33,000 people were killed by the flooding of the Yangtze River. Many more flooding disasters followed, and something needed to be done. To build a dam that will span the length of the Yangtze River, China decided to go big. Really big. Approximately 28 million cubic meters of concrete were used to build it. That's the equivalent of 11,200 Olympic swimming pools. Or in other words, that's the equivalent of every citizen of Russia filling up their bathtub with concrete. Construction began in 1994, and it took over 17 years and over 40,000 workers to pull it off. But you can bet that with such a huge project, there were some after effects. When completed, the dam's reservoir started filling up, but it flooded over 1,500 cities and towns. There was a lot of criticism about this from the locals and the international community. How did the government solve it? Well, more than 1 million people had to be relocated. That's a lot of people to move around, and there's still controversy about it to this day. But China believes the long-term effects justify the short-term inconvenience. It's now possible to control the flow of water, which eliminates the chances of flooding downstream. The dam now protects over 15 million people by reducing the risk of flooding. The other key reason why it was important to build the dam was in order to generate electricity. China's dreams of becoming a big industrial and manufacturing powerhouse were not going to happen without a large supply of sustainable power. The desire for great power gave birth to the idea for a massive dam, and the Three Gorges Dam does the trick. It provides renewable, green energy, which does not pollute the environment. It has helped China reduce its carbon dioxide emissions, and there's even power available for many provinces around China, such as Shanghai.
China is one of the fastest growing economies on Earth. To fuel the need of its ever-accelerating industry, the nation needs more power. Much of this will be provided by an enormous dam spanning the mighty Yangtze River in central China, called the Three Gorges Dam. Our cameras have been granted privileged access to capture this amazing feat of engineering in its full glory. Before they could start building the Three Gorges Dam, the Chinese first had to divert the Yangtze River, which is almost 2 kilometers wide, and move over 1 million people from the area about to be flooded. And when they filled the reservoir behind the dam, the huge mass of water actually slowed down the speed of the Earth's rotation by a fraction.
The Three Gorges Dam is the biggest hydroelectric project in the world. This dam used 28 million cubic meters of concrete. Maybe one way to look at it is to say it's a solid pipe of concrete, a meter diameter, right around the world. It's a lot of concrete.
But the Chinese authorities think it's worth the effort, as the Three Gorges Dam will provide clean and cheap electric power to millions of people. British engineer Robin Charlwood has been working on the dam since 2003 and is still impressed by its scale.
We're in one of the three very large powerhouses of the Three Gorges project. In this 700-meter-long room here, you can see 14 of the large turbine generators. Then beyond this one, a kilometer away is the second powerhouse, and then beyond that one is yet another powerhouse which will be underground in the rock on the far side of the river. Each one of these generators cost about $50 million, to give you an idea of the scale of this project.
Debden Dam had 1 generator. Three Gorges has 32. Together they produce 5 million times more power than Debden. To drive them, the Chinese have harnessed the power of the mighty Yangtze River. In the reservoir behind the dam, the river now rises up to 60 stories above the riverbed. The water is channeled down gigantic concrete tubes towards the generators. Here, the torrent of water hits the turbines and makes them spin. This motion is in turn transferred to the rotor of the generator. This is fitted with massive magnets, which move past copper coils in the casing to generate electricity. Just one of these machines makes as much electricity as a small nuclear power plant. All 32 generators together produce enough power for 60 million Chinese.
This project is setting a new benchmark in the international hydroelectric industry. It's almost twice the size of the next largest project, Itaipu in Brazil.
Kilometers long, and in places several kilometers wide, the biggest river in China. It presents enormous logistical challenges to the dam engineers. As the Yangtze rises behind the Three Gorges Dam, it will flood over 150,000 acres of land along its banks. So the Chinese have to relocate over 1 million people from the land behind the dam. Thousands of new houses have to be built for the displaced citizens to live in. Then the engineers can begin to dam the river.
We're standing here among some of the rocks and these precast concrete blocks that we use to create the cofferdams to control the river during the construction of the Three Gorges project. Controlling the river to allow the construction of this huge project was clearly a major undertaking. I mean, the Yangtze River is one of the largest rivers in the world, very fast, very deep. So building these cofferdams and to allow a safe construction was a major operation. The Chinese claimed that this was the largest and most difficult diversion ever undertaken for a hydroelectric project, and if you look at the scale of it, they were absolutely right. This was huge.
The The engineers begin work on a series of stone cofferdams to block off part of the Yangtze, whilst leaving a channel open for the rest of the river to flow through. They build the first two sections of the main dam on the dry riverbed. Then they dump tons of earth into the river, and on top of it build another cofferdam, this time from concrete. With the river held in check behind it, they can finally build the last section of the dam. Then they must remove the cofferdam so that water can flow through the turbines of the main dam.
Having built such substantial cofferdam structures, it's a major challenge how to remove these things. So in the earlier stages, where they were built of very large rocks like this, then that could be handled with big excavator equipment, relatively conventional. But in the final stage, where they had a solid concrete wall to remove, this required some serious innovation.
Unlike the cofferdam in Marais, the Chinese version is too tall to simply leave it in place. So the Chinese engineers build it leaving holes for explosive charges. On the 6th of June 2006, they filled them with 190 tons of dynamite and hold their breath. What has taken months to build takes only seconds to destroy. As the cofferdam crumbles, it unleashes the water stored behind it. It's the final test for the Three Gorges Dam, and it holds. The Three Gorges Dam takes concrete construction to new heights.
You look at it, you can just picture the thickness of the concrete at the base of the dam, the height of it, 180 meters, and it's 2 kilometers long. So it's a colossal amount of concrete.
Three Gorges uses 10 times more concrete than the Hoover Dam, so the engineers have to pull out all the stops to keep their dam cool.
Inside the dam, there are huge 32 turbines with the capacity to produce 700 megawatts each. Millions of liters of water flow through the huge concrete tubes to these turbines every minute, creating electricity. To keep the foundations of this structure strong, it has spillway gates and concrete chutes in case of emergency. They can hurl excess water over 100 meters downstream and protect the system from damage. The dam was also built to improve shipping on the Yangtze River because the gorges are very dangerous to navigate. So 2 series of ship locks have been installed near the dam, and they are the biggest ship locks in the world. The dam has staircase locks designed to keep up with the highest river traffic. Each is made up of 5 stages, and it will take you 4 hours to get through the locks. Since the system is working so well, it can now handle more than 150 freight ships per day. This allows China to reach their goal of increasing river shipping capacity from 10 million to 100 million tons annually. They also brought about the smaller passenger boats too. In addition to the canal locks, there is a ship lift. Yeah, you heard it right, an elevator for ships. The lift rises over 100 meters and uses counterweights within the concrete walls to elevate the ships. It will take you about 40 minutes to get to the top. The ship lift's construction started in October 2007 and completed in 2016. So it didn't exist when the project was officially opened in 2006. But you have to admit that it's one of the coolest things about this dam. The engineers of the Three Gorges Dam crafted the design to reduce its impact on the environment. It now holds the largest volume of water for a dam, storing approximately 40 billion cubic meters of water. That's enough to fill up a bathtub for every person on Earth 25 times. Mother Nature is not always kind when you try to tame her. However, China is confident that because of the modern materials and techniques they use, they have reduced the risk of the dam being damaged during an earthquake or other natural disaster. So what are the good and bad effects of having the Three Gorges Dam? Well, let me share the bad ones with you first. For starters, millions of tons of sediment become trapped yearly at the bottom of the dam. Shanghai province, which is 1,600 kilometers away, rests on a massive sedimentary plain. The thing about sediment is that it strengthens the bed on which Shanghai is built. So if there's less new sediment, then Shanghai becomes more vulnerable, and no one wants to see the whole of Shanghai sinking away because of this. To counter this, engineers have built massive sluice gates inside the dam. When gates are opened, floodwater moves the sediment through the dam, sending it downstream to where it's needed most. There's also been a potential impact on plants and wildlife. The region around the river has always had a rich biodiversity, but the dam disrupts aquatic and plant life because it has changed how things flow downstream. Right now, half of those plant species are endangered, while forests around the dam are decreasing more and more each year. Like the saying goes, every cloud has a silver lining, and China hopes the long-term benefits will outweigh the short-term problems. So what's the good side of the dam? Well, for starters, it provides a huge amount of power that will cater to China for generations to come. A big advantage of the dam is that it generates green power, which has helped China reduce coal consumption by almost a full percentage point, thus avoiding millions of tons of greenhouse gas emissions. It has also supplied water to nearby cities and agricultural areas, boosted shipping along the channel, and created a historic landmark. However you look at it, the Three Gorges Dam already has its place carved out in history. But what do you think about the Three Gorges Dam? Do you think its long-term benefits and flooding protection justifies the environmental impact? Let us know in the comments below.